Kirsty, what do people at home have to
OK,
say?
first we have Jill on line 2.
You're doing a good job with Wiggy, by the way. Yeah. Jill, good morning.
Hi, Matthew.
So what's your first reaction, then, to what you saw?
Well, watched it. It looks like something off CCTV, really.
Yeah.
Children's television. I just can't see that it will encourage people to wear condoms unless you can get them over your head and you can't hear what they're saying.
It's not as easy as you think doing that, by the way. Again, I mean, presumably it's been a while since you were 16 to 25, Jill, is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you, I mean, I'll be honest, I watch most TV these days, X Factor, Britain Exploits, The Mentally Challenged, and I feel like I must be 100 years older than the people that are watching it. It's a different world out there, and maybe this is for their world and not for ours.
Well, I just don't think that the songs, the words in a song, will get kids to wear condoms. I'm sorry. I mean, they might bop along with the music. They might learn the words and sing it, but it's not going to get people to wear condoms just because the song is, well, Jill, I don't know.
How about
I don't even know if it's catchy.
The reason we're talking about this is because a young man who sits in our audience regularly, he's not here today, called Joe, he's heard about it from one of his local pubs where his friends go, and he brought it to our attention. It then appeared in Metro, a free paper in London. And if you wanted proof of its efficiency as a viral campaign, that must be it. It's going out. People are picking up on it. And if all they pick up on it is to think, ooh, I should use a condom, if that's all it does, that's got to be better than doing nothing, isn't it?
Well, yes, I mean, if it does make them wear condoms, yeah, great.
Or think about wearing condoms.
I just don't think it will.
Go on, then.
I don't think it's got anything to do with the fact that the tune might be catchy or the words might be effective. I think they might learn it, they might sing it, they might dance to it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they will wear a condom because of it.
No, that's good.
I mean, I would hopefully think well, possibly more responsible than some 16 to 25-year-olds, possibly not most of the time. But, they were putting a condom on a banana, and for me, I was just going, they're putting a condom on a banana. It wasn't thinking, oh, safe sex. And then I was waiting for the line that we've all been talking about. But it wasn't... There was no, like, safe sex, absolutely.
But this is how they show kids how to put a condom in school when that's sex education.
Yeah, no, but
so it's a...
In that, if your teacher doing it, you do take it a little bit more seriously than watching that.
If you take the bum outline out, it does feel like its demographic is 8 to 16.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And in which case, I think that probably would work.
OK, that's a good point. Thank you, Jill. Let's have another.
We have George next on line 3.
George, good morning.
Good morning.
What do you think, sir? Any good?
Well, I think it's pretty naff. It's like the last caller said, it does look like children's TV, but it just reminded me of a comment I was talking when I was a wee boy, was that what they're actually advocating there, I was taught was a one-way valve, you know. So I don't think it's teaching people to actually wear a condom. It's teaching them how to have anal sex.
Is it not? Is it? I don't know if it's supposed to teach them anything. It's just supposed to make them think and talk, perhaps amongst themselves. And it's on YouTube, and I looked on YouTube, and it's quite obvious that the people that are posting on YouTube, and I've no idea what age they are, but they're all communicating and messaging each other about it. It's created. It's a viral.
Are they messaging about self-sex, or are they messaging about other stuff?
Yeah, that's the problem.
I think that particular line is to be funny, and if you're a 13-year-old boy, it's funny.
Yeah.
Okay, by saying that and being funny, maybe they've get their attention. And if you tap into 13, 14, 15-year-old boys, you're actually hitting your marketplace.
Yes.
And to get a serious message over and by getting it, you being funny is not necessarily a bad thing. Also, you've got to look at what are you questioning that this comes from an NHS-backed? Was this finance?
Well, it's an independent charity.
Yeah, all right. So charity money has been used possibly to put this together. So are you questioning that?
Their job is to promote contraception, and they do a wonderful job. I mean,
yes, they do.
I'm big fans. So how they choose to spend the money. I mean, they've had a thought about this, and I stress again, it's the viral nature of it, I think, that they want to tap into.
Yeah.
That you spend, you know, I mean, the government might spend £15 million on a poster campaign. Now, well, £15 million disappears, like, into the ether. It's nothing for a poster
It's like
campaign.
what Steve was saying. I mean, when HIV in the 80s, when they suddenly... I mean, it was hardcore. It was on
Yeah,
posters.
and it was millions and millions of pounds. This is probably tens of thousands, but it's reached 250,000 people
or just
for sure.
Tens, really, I think.
Or just tens, yeah. Tens of pence.
Yeah.
Thank you, George. Let's have
Here
another.
we have Kate next on line 4.
Kate, good morning.
Good morning.
What do you think of it?
Well, I'm just actually shocked because a few years ago when I was just a bit older and being a teenager, I actually got pregnant and had to have a termination with Mary Stopes.
Right.
And I'm just shocked that this video is from them. Because having been through a termination, it's not a comical thing, to put it mildly. And it really wakes you up when you're really young and you decide to do that.
But
and
Kate,
it's a respectful place. And I can't believe that they're basically doing a copy of In-Betweeners, which is kind of promoting, not really promoting anything, but just being silly, I think, really.
I'm just thinking, Kate, that if you had seen this, if you were 13 or 14 years old today and you'd seen this, might it have made you think in a different way about contraception?
No, it would have made me make jokes about probably having anal sex and up the bum. It would have made me kind of copy it, be silly, not really. It wouldn't make me think about being sensible at all. It would make me think about being just silly and trying to get attention and being cool with my friends.
God, I think that's, out of everything that's been said, Kate, that is pretty damning, really, from someone who's young and been through that experience. Thank you for the call. I'm kind of, I'm surprised, a little surprised by it. Thank you for the call.
OK, we have Dr Paula Franklin next from the Mary Stopes Clinic on line 1. Yeah.
Dr Paula, good morning.
Good morning.
I don't know whether you heard our last caller there.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. I'm disappointed for you, actually, after hearing what she said. What would you like to tell us?
No, not at all. I think that what we haven't, or what I haven't heard discussed so far, is the seriousness of the underlying issue here, which is we have an enormous problem in this country with teenage pregnancy. And we have over 40,000, I think, last year, teenage pregnancies. And nearly half of those were people who, in the end, their pregnancy resulted in a termination. As your last caller, we heard that. This is something that we need to do something about. This is
for sure.
And what we understand is that this group of people, boys and girls, men and women, are very difficult to reach. And what we've tried to do here is to use a technique that they themselves use, that they themselves have suggested, that we researched with them. We're using language that they use, and we're trying to just engage their attention in order to get them to look at and consider different ways and different methods of contraception.
So I'm right in thinking that your aim is to get them to think about contraception.
Our aim is just to engage their attention.
Right.
Because what we're seeing is that all the other normal methods of trying to get through to this population are just not working.
OK, now, the only thing that I take issue with in the video, and it's bizarre because it followed a conversation I had with a young woman yesterday who was telling me about one of her friends, an adult, who'd asked her whether or not it was possible to get pregnant through anal sex. Now, if adults have been brought up, perhaps in a very sheltered family, and are confused about something as potentially serious as that, is it wise to put a line, albeit in a jokey fashion, that suggests one up the bum is fun when the National Health says it's a very risky sexual practice?
Well, I would say that we at Mary Stopes, of course, do not advocate that as a method of contraception, and we wouldn't advocate that as an advised sexual activity. What we did was...
But you do... But it says in the video, one up the bum can be fun, one up the bum you won't be a mum. I mean, that's both advocating it as a sexual activity and recommending it as a form of safe sex relative to pregnancy.
What we did was we spoke to the group and we gave them a brief and we asked them to develop the messages that would catch the attention of that youthful audience. And this is what happened. And what we need to do is get their attention. And if we preach to them and talk to them only about things that we think are nice and that we think that they want to hear, and we don't get their attention, then actually next year we'll end up with 60,000 teenage pregnancies.
Well, let's hope not. Dr Paula, thank you very much. And thank you very much to Mary Stopes as well, and for all your calls on the subject. It's really interesting.